Chapter 8. Hopeless. It was Sunday again, and raining, a miserable, wet British Sunday, the sky grey above the roofs of the sad grey houses. Jan hadn't slept well. All night long she had been arguing with herself about what she planned to do. She tried to be logical and to look at the facts clearly without emotion. Fact 1. Her mother was now unable to look after herself. Her condition was getting worse fast. Fact 2. Neither Kate, her sister, nor Cindy, her daughter, was willing to look after her. Fact 3. She herself now had the chance of a proper job with a good salary. If she stayed at home to look after her mother, that chance would be lost, and she would probably never get another chance. Fact 4. If her mother took too much of her medicine, by accident, she wouldn't suffer, and the problem would be solved. But however logical her arguments were, there was a voice in her head that kept whispering the word murderer. She had tossed and turned in her bed all through the night, but she had found no way out of her problem. Every way she turned, she met a solid wall. She felt trapped. "She's your mother. How could you do it?" the voice said. "But why should I be the one to suffer?" she asked herself. "After all, she's so far gone now that she doesn't get any pleasure out of life. Most of the time she doesn't even know where she is. It's as if she's sitting in the dark prison of forgetting. She can't make sense of her life. What's the point? Surely I'd be saving her from her misery." Then the other voice would attack her again. "How could you possibly even think of killing your mother? Once it's done, you won't be able to undo it, you know. You'll be sorry for it for the rest of your life." "But I can't make her well again either. No one can undo her condition. What's the point of making her suffer like this?" The arguments went round and round in her head until she felt physically sick. She felt like a wasp trapped in a jam jar. Finally, in the late afternoon, she decided. Her mother was upstairs having her afternoon sleep. Jan made a cup of tea. She put the bottle of pills on the tray with the tea things. Then she took it up to her mother. Sarah swallowed her usual 2 pills without noticing them with her cup of tea. Jan had decided to give her 2 more pills a few minutes later, then 2 more, then 2 more. Sarah was so forgetful that she wouldn't remember taking the first pills. No one would suspect Jan. When the police came, they would find the empty pill bottle. It would look like an accident. Jan opened the bottle and took out 2 more pills. "Here you are, Mum. Time for your pills," she said nervously, and in her head she asked to be forgiven for what she was about to do. But before she could give the pills to Sarah, the phone began to ring downstairs. She waited, but the phone went on ringing and ringing. With the pills still in her hand, she ran downstairs to answer it. "Hello, Mum. It's Cindy." "Oh, Cindy, what is it?" said Jan. "Mum, are you okay? Your voice sounds all shaky and strange. Is anything wrong? How's Gran?" "She's, fine. I'm just giving her tea. Why are you calling anyway?" "Listen, Mum, I've been thinking about what you said. I know how much this job means to you, so I've decided to try and help you out after all. I'll look after Gran for you, at least for a time, till we can find something better. But I hope you can help me too sometimes. I can't face being with her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week." "Cindy, you've saved my life," said Jan. "And your grandmother's too," she thought. Of course I'll help you whenever I can. Oh, my God. I think I'm going to cry. Look, I'll call you back later, okay? I just need to do something. She ran back upstairs. Sarah was still sipping her tea. Jan put the pills back in the bottle, put the top back on tightly, and put it safely in her pocket. "More tea, Mum?" she asked.
"Yes, please, dear. Was that your father on the phone?"
"No, Mum. It was Cindy. She'll be coming to look after you tomorrow."
"Oh, will she? Is she that small lady with the dark skin? I liked her, even if she is a foreigner. She had a lovely smile."
"No, Mum. But you like Cindy too."
"Oh, do I? I don't think I know her."
"Yes, you do. But don't worry about it."
"What about my pills?" asked Sarah. "Have I taken my pills?"
"Yes, Mum," said Jan with relief. "You've already taken them." Chapter 9. Hugh's Little Problems. In the weeks following the dinner party, Kate hardly saw her husband. He always left very early in the morning and usually came back very late, and sometimes he spent the night away in Paris, Frankfurt, Milan or Athens. He said he was working hard to make sure his investment fund was a success. He told Kate he had meetings the whole time about how to attract money to the fund and how to invest it, to make big profits for the partners. And even when he was with Kate, he seemed uneasy. He avoided her and didn't seem to want to talk about anything important. She was getting more and more worried about what was happening between them. Was something seriously wrong with their marriage? They had known each other since they met as students at Oxford. That was 25 years ago. After all that time, and with 2 grown-up children, they knew each other very well, or she had thought they did. Now she wondered how well she really knew this man she had spent so much of her life with. Of course, he wasn't perfect. In fact, he had some rather serious little problems. He drank too much, just like his father, who had died from drink. He seemed to be able to drink large quantities of any kind of alcohol, beer, wine, whiskey, gin, vodka, and he rarely seemed to be affected by what he drank. But Kate knew that one day something serious would happen. Either he would do something stupid, or he would get ill. Another of his little problems was that he was, by nature, a gambler. He didn't play cards for money or bet on horses or go to the casino and play roulette, but he was a gambler. He played with money, other people's money. Of course, that meant he was always taking chances, hoping for a big win. But it was dangerous. Kate knew this all too well, because a few years back he had lost a lot of money and almost gone to prison for it. Luckily, some of his friends had helped him out, but this hadn't stopped his gambling habit. It was an addiction. He couldn't help it. It was stronger than him. His new investment fund was also a gamble, and Kate wondered how big the risk was this time. And, like many handsome men with a lot of money, Hugh had a weakness for beautiful women, and they were attracted to him too. Kate remembered how he had looked when they met, so strong and handsome, with long dark hair and a smile like a film star. And she remembered the brief affair he had had with that actress after Jeremy was born. But Kate wondered if he was still quite so attractive. Now, in his late 40s, losing his hair, getting fat around the middle, and without his smile too most of the time. Was it possible that he still attracted women as he had done when he was younger? Kate herself certainly didn't find him attractive in that way any longer. Then, One evening, when she came home with all these thoughts in her mind, Kate heard a mobile phone ringing. It was coming from Hugh's study. He was away in Paris, and he'd obviously forgotten his mobile. By the time she picked up the phone, the ringing had stopped. Before switching off the phone, she noticed there were 10 missed calls, all from the same number, and the caller's name was Melper. Chapter 10. Pictures from the Past.
"Hello, Gran. How are you feeling this morning?"
Cindy put a mug of tea down on her grandmother's bedside table.
"Here's your tea. You'd better drink it while it's still hot." "I'm not feeling too good today."
"Oh, why's that then?"
"I'm thinking too much."
"What are you thinking about, Gran?"
"My feet."
"Your feet?"
"Yes, my feet. They make me think, and I keep forgetting things. But my blood's better now, so they say."
"Who says, Gran?"
"Oh, you know, that nice young doctor."
Cindy gave up trying to guess who her grandmother was talking about. Maybe this doctor was someone left over from a dream.
"Well, that's good anyway, the blood, I mean," said Cindy as she smoothed the bedsheets. "But there's a lot of things I want to do, but I can't."
There was a pause.
"I don't know where the pots and pans are. That's the trouble."
"I expect they're in the kitchen where they belong," said Cindy.
"What kitchen?"
asked her grandmother.
"I don't remember any kitchen. Where is it?"
"It's downstairs, of course," said Cindy.
"Whose house is this, anyway? I don't think I've been here before."
"It's your house, Gran. It's where you've lived for the past 40 years.
"Oh, is it?"
she asked and drank her tea. Cindy suddenly started to giggle uncontrollably. "Oh, Gran, sometimes you're really funny, you know."
"Well, at least I make you laugh. It's better than crying, I can tell you that."
Then all at once, she put her mug of tea back on the table and knocked it over. Sarah was obviously in pain. "Gran, are you okay?"
"No."
"Is there any pain?"
"No, it's just the didgeridoo."
She moved uncomfortably on the pillows. But Cindy couldn't stop giggling again at the didgeridoo. She'd never heard the word before, and it sounded so funny, in spite of the situation her Gran was in. The didgeridoo. Her Gran had just added a new and original word to the English language. "Here, Gran, let me lift you up a bit. You'll be more comfortable."
"Ow! Don't you hurt me! Who are you, anyway? Where's that nice taxi lady?"
"It's okay, Gran. Just rest for a minute. I'll get your pills for you. Just lie back and relax." Sarah lay back, obviously more comfortable. As Cindy left the room, she went back to sleep. When Cindy returned with the pills, she was already fast asleep, snoring loudly with her mouth wide open, her hands moving nervously on the sheets as if she was trying to find something. Then, quite suddenly, she sat up, opened her eyes, and asked,
"Is this where we all get off?"
"Get off what?" thought Cindy. Does she think she's on a bus? Or does she mean this is where she gets off the journey of life? She felt a wave of sadness and sympathy for the human ruin her grandmother had become. She began to cry, quietly at first, then sobbing uncontrollably. Sarah didn't seem to notice her tears.
"Come on, then. I'm not going to sit here all day. Let's get on with it.
Cindy dried her eyes. She helped her grandmother into the bathroom, helped her wash and dress. Then she supported the old lady downstairs to the kitchen. Cindy thought, and this is only the beginning of the day. What will the rest be like? She sat Sarah at the table and made her some breakfast. "Don't ask me what they're saying about me," said Sarah. "I don't know. And they keep on asking me all those questions and I can't answer. I don't know the answers." Her voice sounded frightened again. "Never mind, Gran. Just have some breakfast, okay? Look, some nice croissants with your favourite jam." After she moved in to stay with Sarah, Cindy gradually got used to her new routine, helping her grandmother to wash and dress, changing the sheets when she wet the bed, getting her meals, sitting with her when she wasn't asleep, putting her to bed at night. And she also somehow got used to the strange, illogical conversations she had with the old lady. Sarah would suddenly say things that seemed to come from nowhere, and she seemed to believe that they were watching her and asking her questions which she couldn't answer. Occasionally, she would say something that was connected to a childhood memory. At other times, things she said seemed unconnected to anything. It was tiring for Cindy to try to make sense of what Sarah said, yet sometimes she could be so funny that Cindy just couldn't help laughing. People say that children often get along better with their grandparents than with their parents. Cindy had certainly had a stormy and sometimes unhappy relationship with her own mother. Now she began to feel herself growing fond of this strange old woman who was her grandmother. One afternoon, as she was tidying one of the cupboards, Cindy found an old photograph album. She looked through the pages. Most of them were family pictures, faded and yellow with age, their corners turning up at the edges like autumn leaves. Cindy could recognize some of her relatives, her grandfather and grandmother when they were young, her mother Jan as a child and as a teenager, her Aunt Kate too. But there were even older photos, almost brown now and very faint. They were like ghosts, these men and women in Victorian clothes, standing stiffly for formal photographs, children in old-fashioned school uniforms, all of them staring at the camera like people from another world. "The past is another country," Cindy remembered reading somewhere. How true it was.
"What are you doing in there?"
came Sarah's voice.
"I'm just looking at some of your old photos, Gran, that's all." "Here, bring them over here. I want to have a look."
Cindy took the album and sat next to Sarah on the sofa.
"Look, Gran,"
she said. Sarah began to turn the pages slowly. Then she stopped and pointed at one of the photos.
"My mum and dad," she said.
In the photograph was a young couple. The young woman was wearing clothes fashionable in the 1920s. The man was also fashionably dressed. He had a sad, sad smile. Sarah said again,
"My mum and dad. Have you seen them anywhere?"
Cindy didn't answer the question. Instead, she pointed to another photo. This one showed a very young couple standing either side of a table with a pot plant on it. The man was wearing a soldier's uniform. The woman looked young enough to be a schoolgirl.
"That's my mum and dad,"
repeated Sarah again. This time she sounded really excited.
1914, First World War. They were engaged to be married. My dad went to the war. He went to the Great War."
She found another photo. This was a wedding photo. It had the date underneath it. 20th of December, 1918. Again, Sarah pointed, and once more said excitedly,
My mum and dad! It's their wedding! But I wasn't there.
I should hope not, said Cindy with a smile.
My dad was lucky. He came back. But he had something wrong with him. They called it shell shock. He couldn't work properly after that, my poor dad.
Cindy pointed at another photo, a woman with a baby.
That's my mum. And my little brother, Tom, said Sarah. You had a brother? Asked Cindy. I didn't know that. He died when he was 1, said Sarah. Died of flu. When were you born, Gran? Asked Cindy. Is this you? She pointed to another baby picture. That's me. That's me, said Sarah. Born in 1924. 20th of May, 1924. That's my birthday. Mustn't forget my birthday. Name, Sarah Morton. Address, 11 Spring Grove, Lewisham, South London. Always remember your address, my mum said, in case you get lost, and then you can tell the policeman.
Cindy realised that somehow the old photos had opened a window into Sarah's memory. She had spoken sensibly for once. Cindy now felt sure that something of her grandmother remained. Somewhere inside that old, weak body, there was still a real person, but only just, and only sometimes. By the time Jan arrived, a few minutes later, the window into Sarah's memory had already closed. Sarah looked at Jan and said to Cindy, Who's that? It's your daughter, Jan, said Cindy. What's she come here for? Said Sarah. She's come to see you, Gran. Well, she'd better have a good look then, hadn't she? Said Sarah loudly. Both Jan and Cindy exploded in laughter. Chapter 11. A win-win situation. Kate had been intending to have a serious talk to Hugh about the missed calls on his mobile phone when he came back from Paris that weekend. But somehow it never seemed to be the right time, or maybe she was avoiding it by delaying for as long as possible. Something told her it was a very dangerous subject. Kate now knew for sure that he hadn't been playing golf that Friday after he came back from the States. She had called the club secretary, and he had told her Hugh hadn't been there that day. She added this to the list of things she needed to face him with when they finally had their talk together. But this evening, Hugh wanted to discuss something else. He seemed quite excited about an idea he had had. "I've been thinking about your mother again," he said. "How do you mean?" asked Kate. "Whatever made you think of her?" "Well, I've had an idea that might just work out. Everyone would get what they want out of it. A win-win situation." "Everyone? Who is everyone? Get what? What's this all about?" "Well, the situation is that your mother needs special care. Your sister Jan can't afford it. Your mother can't afford it, and we don't want to pay for it ourselves, right?" "Right," said Kate, wondering where this was leading. "So what we do is this. We offer to pay £1,500 a month to Jan to arrange a nurse for the old lady." "But I thought you said we wouldn't pay." "Wait a minute, there's more. We don't do it for nothing. We pay her the money monthly, but when the old lady dies, which is probably not long, the house would belong to us. We draw up an agreement, which Jan would sign, to agree that the house would become our property. It's quite a common kind of arrangement these days, when people are living longer and can't look after themselves anymore. So it's like a gamble on how long Mother will live. In a way, yes. If she lives till she's 90, that's about 10 years. We would have paid £180,000, but the house is worth at least £250,000, I think. And if they redevelop the area for new houses, the land alone would be worth even more than that. So we would make at least £70,000 if she lives to be 90, but I'm sure she won't live that long. Just think, if she only lived for another year, we'd make over £150,000. It's a fantastic opportunity for us, and it solves Jan's problem too. Everyone wins. It's a win-win situation.
My God, are you serious?
Said Kate, but she could see from the look on Hugh's face that he really was. Of course I'm serious. But when Mother dies, we might get the house anyway. I can't see the point of spending money now. Your mother is a crazy old woman. Who knows who she'll leave the house to? This is one way to make sure of it. And let's face it, she's not likely to live for much longer, so we won't have spent much anyway. When he had started talking about her mother's death in terms of the money they might get from it, Kate had felt at first that it was wrong. How could they use the situation to make more money for themselves? But then she started to think it wasn't such a bad idea. After all, without their money, Jan would be stuck with Mother till she died. Maybe it looked bad to make money like this, but as Hugh said, in a way, it was a win-win situation. For once, it would be a bet they were sure to win. And it was a way to make sure their mother's house came to them. She had no idea what was in her mother's will. It was in an envelope at the solicitor's office and would only be opened after she died. Suppose her mother had left the house to Jan, or Cindy, or the Battersea Dogs Home. Anything was possible. But if they could get Jan to agree to this arrangement, it would be theirs anyway. "Let me think about it," she said. "Maybe I'll call Jan tomorrow and arrange to go and see her. If she's still speaking to me, that is." Chapter 12. Planning an Outing. A week had gone by, and it was Sunday again. Jan was sitting with Cindy in Sarah's kitchen after lunch. Sarah was asleep upstairs. "How are you getting on, then?" asked Jan.
Well, I think it's the most tiring thing I've ever done. You know what Gran's like. One minute she knows who you are, the next minute she doesn't recognise you, and she swings between saying all those crazy things with no connection to anything, and moments when she says something totally sensible. Of course, there are still times when I feel like killing her, but I'm getting to like her a lot, actually. And sometimes she says things that make me fall about laughing. She's so funny. I told you about the didgeridoo, didn't I? Well, every so often she comes out with something like that. Last night, I was trying to help her into bed. All of a sudden she says, "Hey, none of that frooky-pooky here." I mean, what can you do? All you can do is laugh.
Oh, it sounds as if you're managing anyway. I can't tell you how grateful I am, Cindy. If you hadn't helped me out, I couldn't have taken the job.
"How are you getting on there?" asked Cindy. "What's it like now that you've settled in a bit?"
Oh, it's great. Everyone's very friendly and the work's really interesting. And my boss is nice and very good looking too. I think he likes me. Well, you know, fancies me. I must say, I wouldn't mind that either.
"Oh, come on, Mum."
Just joking. Well, anyway, he's started to pass on really interesting jobs to me now. He seems to trust me to meet clients and all that. No, it's really good. I'm so glad, Mum. I really am. There was a pause. Then Jan got up to put the kettle on for coffee. I'm sorry I've been so busy with my new job that I haven't had time to help out with your grandmother. I'll stay with her tonight, though, if you want a break. And I can be with her the whole of next weekend, if you like. It's her birthday on Sunday. That's okay, Mum, said Cindy. I don't mind. I don't feel like going out tonight anyway. But it might be nice to get out next weekend. Thanks. But if it's her birthday, I might stay around anyway. Jan made coffee, real coffee, this time. Thinking of the coffee reminded her of Kate. She sighed. Of course, we can't go on like this forever. I haven't spoken to Kate since she brought your grandmother back and dumped her on us again. Oh, I can't bear the idea of phoning her. She makes me feel sick. She's so selfish. But sometime or other we're going to have to face it again. After all, you can't be expected to spend the rest of your life looking after your old grandmother. More like the rest of her life, said Cindy. I don't think she'll live longer than me, do you? You know what I mean, said Jan. Yes, I do. And anyway, it's time I got myself a proper job too. Jan said nothing. Yet she could hardly believe her ears. Cindy was talking about a proper job. She'd been a dropout since school. She'd never had a proper job at all. She'd wasted the last 10 years. She'd been on drugs, slept rough on the streets in London, been involved with some criminal characters, had an abortion when one of them made her pregnant, everything you could think of. But it seemed as if she might be changing. Jan hardly dared to hope it was so. Cindy went on, I think it may be because of Gran, in a way. I mean, she makes me think. Look at her. The poor old thing is all burnt out. Even if she does show the occasional spark of life, I don't want to end up like her. Or if I do, I want to make something of my life first. Well, if you're going to get a proper job, you'll need to get some qualifications first. Have you got any idea what you want to do? I could always be a barmaid, I suppose. Just joking, Mum. Just joking. No, I'm not sure. But maybe something to do with looking after people. I'm not keen on nursing, though. Not after looking after Gran. Maybe something like physiotherapy, or maybe chiropody, or whatever they call it these days. You know, looking after people's feet and all that. I don't really know, though. What do you think? Jan thought for a moment. I'll ask around if you like. I can check it out on the internet at work, maybe. It's a pity we don't have a computer at home. I think I'd better get one as soon as there's some money in the bank. Maybe you could ask around too. There's a chiropodist's in the high street. Maybe they could advise you about training. Thanks, Mum. Yes, let's find out. But I can't really do anything till we sort out what to do about Gran. I know. We keep circling around the problem, and we always come back to the same place. If only my dear sister Kate had a tiny bit of kindness in her, we could easily sort it out. Just then, as if it had been listening to their conversation, the telephone rang. I'll get it, said Cindy. Hello? There was a pause. Oh, it's you. We were just talking about you. Another pause. OK, here she is. Cindy passed the phone to Jan. It's Kate. She wants to talk to you. Jan took the phone. Yes, what do you want? Kate's voice on the other end sounded uncertain. Jan, please, I was worried about you and about Mother. How is she? Is she all right? How dare you ask me that? You dumped her on the doorstep like a sack of potatoes and went back to your palace on the Thames. For God's sake, don't pretend you care about us or about her. You've got rid of her, that's all you care about. Jan, please listen. I'm really sorry about what happened. What's the point of being sorry? It doesn't help us. It doesn't help Mother either. Honestly, you're such a liar. If you're really so worried about her, why don't you do something to help? Jan, that's why I'm calling you. What do you mean? I mean, I'm calling you because I've been thinking about the situation. I'm really sorry for what I did. But it was an impossible situation. Please try to understand. Anyway, I think we may be able to help out with Mother. Oh, really? And how do you suggest you'll do that? Asked Jan bitterly. It's a bit complicated, Jan. I think I need to see you so that we can talk it through together. Can I come down to see you next weekend? I suppose so. I'll be here with Mother. Cindy's going off for a break. She's been looking after Mother non-stop since you dumped her here. I hope you realise we'd be in a real mess without Cindy. It's just as well we didn't have to depend on your kids to help. So shall we say Sunday? All right then. Come to Mother's for lunch. In case you've forgotten, it's her birthday. She'll be 80. Of course, said Kate, who obviously had forgotten her mother's birthday. Thanks for reminding me. Is there anything she needs? What can I bring her? Use your imagination, said Jan. So I'll see you on Sunday then, about 11? Yes, I'll come as early as I can. Goodbye then. Goodbye. What do you make of that then? Said Jan to Cindy. I don't know. What did she say? She said she thinks she and Hugh might be able to help out with Mother. How? She didn't say. Said it was too complicated. So she's coming down to see me on Sunday. You won't be here, so no need to worry. Selfish woman! Why can't she just say straight out what they want to do? What's so complicated about it? I don't know. I just hope it's real this time. Me too, said Cindy. But I've just had a brilliant idea for Gran's birthday present. I'll take her to the seaside for the day. It'll be fun for both of us, and I can always take some time off later. No way, said Jan. She can hardly walk, and she hasn't been out of the house for ages. All the more reason for taking her out then, isn't it? Said Cindy. I can borrow a wheelchair, and I'm sure my friend Sue will lend me her car just for a day. I'll take Gran down to Brighton. I know she used to like going there before when Grandad was still alive. It'll do her the world of good. And then you won't have to worry about having her around when Kate comes. Come on, Mum. It will really do her good. I don't know. Are you sure you can manage with her all by yourself? Of course I can, no problem at all. OK? So that's settled then. But what about Kate? If you take your grandmother out, she won't be able to see her when she comes on Sunday. Serves her right, said Cindy. It's about time that selfish woman was given some of her own medicine. She doesn't care about us, so why should we care about her? And so it was agreed that Cindy would drive Sarah to Brighton for the day on her 80th birthday. Chapter 13. I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside. Cindy made all the arrangements. She managed to borrow a wheelchair from a friend of a friend whose father had recently died, and her friend Sue was happy to lend Cindy her car for the day. On the Saturday night, Cindy went clubbing with a group of her old friends, but she came home early. Somehow, it didn't seem as much fun as before. In fact, The crowds, loud music and silly, shouted conversations made her feel a bit ill. "Happy birthday, Gran," she said as she took Sarah her cup of tea the next morning.
"What? What are you talking about?"
said Sarah.
"Today is your birthday, Gran," said Cindy. "You're 80 years old today."
"Am I?
Who told you that?"
"Gran, I'm taking you to Brighton for the day. We're going to the seaside. Do you remember Brighton?" Sarah seemed confused, but at the word seaside, something seemed to connect. She began singing in a high, shaky voice.
"Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the sea. I do like to stroll along the prom, 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 where the brass bands play tiddly-um, pom, pom."
Her voice faded away as her memory failed to find the words to complete the old music hall song. "That's right, Gran. The seaside. That's where we're going. I bet you know all sorts of other songs too."
"I wouldn't be surprised," said Sarah, "but I'm not saying I do, and I'm not saying I don't, because they'll ask me questions if I do."
"Oh, will they?" said Cindy.
"But do I have to meet anyone special today?"
"No, Gran. No one special. You're the special person for today. It's your birthday."
"Where's my hat?"
asked Sarah all of a sudden.
"What hat?"
"My hat.
I can't go to the seaside without a hat, can I?"
"I suppose not. I'll look in the wardrobe," said Cindy. Eventually she found an old straw hat with plastic fruit on it. "Here you are, Gran," she said, and put it gently on Sarah's head. Sarah reached up immediately and changed the angle of the hat. Now she looked like one of those silent film actors from the 1920s.
"What about that then, eh?"
she asked as she looked at herself in the mirror. Again she broke into song in her strange high voice.
"Where did you get that hat? Where did you get that tile? Isn't it a knobby one and just the proper style? I should like to have one just the same as that. Where'er I go they shout, 'Hello!'"
Her voice faded away again. She sat silently, her eyes empty. It seemed as if she could only recover small pieces of memory from the web of words and pictures that crowded her mind. The amazing thing for Cindy was that she could still speak and use language. If she could remember how to speak, why couldn't she remember anything else properly? It was a puzzle for Cindy. She hadn't realized that the new words made up by Sarah, didgery, fruky pooky, and the rest, were the first signs that even her memory for words was slowly being destroyed. Sarah had by now fallen into another light sleep. When she woke a few minutes later, she asked,
"Where are we? I don't remember this place. Where's the bungalow?"
"The bungalow? What bungalow?" asked Cindy.
"Oh, you know. You think I'm stupid, but I'm not so stupid as you think. Do we have to do anything special today?"
"Oh, come on, Gran. It's your birthday. We're going to Brighton. We're going to the seaside."
"Oh, are we? Who told you that? I don't want to do anything wrong, you know. They'll be asking me all those questions again, and I don't know the answers."
Sarah's eyes looked about the room suspiciously, as if looking for them. "It's your birthday, Gran. Let's have a good time, okay?"
"Is my mother coming too?" What about my dad?
Sarah looked upset and confused again.
Come on, Gran. Let's get you dressed. It's a lovely day. Look at the sunshine. It's a lovely May morning. Let's get on the road.
Jan helped Cindy put Sarah into the car. By 11 o'clock, Cindy had arrived in Brighton. The sun was shining brightly, and the sea looked inviting. She parked the car not far from the seafront and took the wheelchair out of the car boot. Somehow she managed to half lift, half push Sarah into it.
Where are we?
Asked Sarah nervously.
This is Brighton, Gran. We're at the seaside. Come on, let's go.
And she began to push the wheelchair quickly down towards the pier.
Shall we go on the pier, Gran?
Asked Cindy. Sarah's eyes suddenly brightened.
It's the seaside, it's the seaside,
she kept repeating. There were already crowds of people walking along the seafront and sitting on the stony beach. English people are odd, thought Cindy. The minute the sun comes out, they take off their shirts and show their pale skin, even if the temperature is well below 15 degrees Celsius. And they become more open and start to talk more. As Cindy pushed the wheelchair through the crowds, people began to talk to Sarah. Hello, dear. Going for a ride?
Hello, sweetheart. Where did you get that hat?
Lovely day, isn't it? Having a nice time, are you? Sarah was a bit surprised by all the attention. She looked around her, turning her head to the left and right. Where are we going? Where's my mum? She asked Cindy nervously.
It's okay, Gran. We're going to the pier.
Brighton Pier sticks out into the sea like a bridge with no land at one end. It's like a big fun fair with small stalls selling ice cream, sticks of pink Brighton rock, souvenirs, balloons and all sorts of toys for children of all ages. And you can try your luck at the shooting gallery and win perhaps a large pink fluffy bear. Or you can ask the fortune teller to tell you your future, or play on the pinball and gambling machines. Cindy pushed the wheelchair to the end of the pier, where they had a good view of the sea. A few men were fishing. The sun was shining on the sea so brightly that it hurt Cindy's eyes. She put on her sunglasses. It was beginning to get quite hot.
Shall I get you an ice cream, Gran?
Ice cream? Sarah concentrated hard, trying to decide whether these words had anything to do with something she could remember. Then she suddenly started to shout, Ice cream, you scream! Ice cream! Nice ice cream! Oh, yes, please.
OK, I'll go and get you one. I won't be a minute. Just wait here. I'll be straight back.
When Cindy returned a few minutes later, she found Sarah surrounded by a group of teenage girls.
Hi, she said. What's going on?
I dunno, said one of the girls. We was walking by and she called out to us. Where's my mum? She kept saying. Is she all right?
Don't worry, said Cindy. She gets a bit confused sometimes.
Sarah, who had been staring out to sea, grabbed the ice cream from Cindy and started to lick it greedily, making loud noises with her tongue and lips. She seems to be enjoying it, said another girl.
It's her birthday today, said Cindy. She's 80.
Wow, said the first girl. 80. That's seriously old. Come on, said the second girl. Let's sing happy birthday. What's her name?
Sarah,
said Cindy. So the group of girls began to sing. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Sarah, happy birthday to you. As they sang, more people gathered round, and some of them joined in the singing. They sang the song through again. Then they went on with, "For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, and so say all of us." By now, a large crowd had gathered. Sarah, still wearing her old straw hat decorated with the plastic fruit, sat in her wheelchair like a queen on a throne. The ice cream was melting in the hot sun. She had ice cream all round her mouth, and it was running down her hand and onto her dress. "Careful, Gran. Watch out for the ice cream. Here, let me clean it up," said Cindy, trying to clean up the mess with some tissues.
"Don't take my ice cream," shouted Sarah. "I know your tricks."
The crowd started laughing good-humouredly. Sarah frowned at them.
"Don't you laugh at me," she said. "I'll teach you a lesson you won't forget in a hurry."
Then her mood changed again.
"Thank you all so much for coming," she said in her best voice. "It's very good of you. I'd like to sing you a song, but I want you all to join in. Now, let's start. Ready?" And she began to sing. "All things bright and beautiful."
A few of the older people in the crowd began to sing with her until almost everyone was taking part, even the ones who didn't know the words.
"Now let's have another song," said Sarah when she came to the end, and she started again in her crazy high voice. "Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside."
But this time there was no need for her to tell the crowd to join in. They began singing along with her straight away. The concert went on for nearly half an hour, and they sang lots of old favourite songs. Sometimes Sarah forgot the words or got them all mixed up. Sometimes she sang wildly out of tune, but nobody seemed to mind. They were all enjoying themselves. Then Sarah suddenly clapped her hands.
"I'm very sorry. I'm afraid I have to leave you now. I have to meet someone in town. It was so kind of you all to come. Thank you all so much."
The crowd parted to let her wheelchair through as Cindy pushed her back towards the seafront. Sarah waved her hand at them, just like a queen. A man in the crowd called out, "She's a real character! 3 cheers for Sarah! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!" So Sarah and Cindy left the pier in right royal style. Chapter 14. Get Out of My Life. Meanwhile, back in Lewisham, Kate had just arrived for lunch with Jan at Sarah's house. "Where's Mother?" Kate asked. "I brought her these flowers and some Belgian chocolates and a whole lot of soaps and shampoos." "She's out for the day. Cindy's taken her out. They've gone to Brighton. It'll do them both good," said Jan. "You mean she's not here? That's a bit much," said Kate. She was obviously angry that her mother wasn't there to see her. "After all," she said, "I am her daughter, and it's her 80th birthday." "I know," said Jan. "It's a pity you didn't remember that before." "But you knew I was coming," accused Kate. "Yes, I did, but I didn't see why Mother shouldn't get a treat on her birthday. Anyway, you came to talk to me about your idea, not to see her." The conversation throughout lunch was difficult. The sisters tried desperately to find something to say to each other that wouldn't start another argument. Over coffee, Jan finally asked the question they both knew had to be answered. "So, What's this idea of yours about dealing with Mother and her condition?" Kate sighed. "I told you, it's a bit complicated, but I'll try to make it as simple as I can." "Okay, go ahead." "Well, you don't have the money to pay for care for Mother." "No, you know perfectly well that I don't," said Jan impatiently. "Yes, but what about her?" "What do you mean? She only has her pension and the money Dad invested for her. I checked up what it costs, and she certainly doesn't have enough to pay for the kind of special care she needs." "That's true," said Kate, "but she owns the house. It's a big house. This area isn't particularly fashionable, but the house is still pretty valuable. House prices are rising again, and anywhere in London is always good." "Surely you're not suggesting she should sell the house," said Jan, starting to feel her anger rising inside her. No, of course not. There's no need to sell it. I think there's a much better way for all of us, Jan. Let me try to explain. What a lot of old people do these days is this. They make an agreement with someone. This someone agrees to pay them a regular amount of money every month until they die. But when they die, the house becomes the property of the person who has been paying the money every month. It's a risk for the person who agrees to pay out the money. If the old person lives for another 20 years, it's a very bad investment. They could end up losing a lot of money. The main thing for the older person is that they have some degree of comfort for the rest of their life. I didn't think it was such a good idea when Hugh mentioned it first, but when I thought about it carefully, I could see the advantages for Mother. "And who do you think would make an agreement like that with Mother?" "Well, I've discussed it with Hugh, and we've agreed that we could pay Mother £1,500 a month. I know that wouldn't cover everything, but it would certainly help. It's at least something we could do to make her life more comfortable. After seeing how she was when she came to stay, I can see how she can't go on like this, and neither can you." "Are you serious?" said Jan, her voice becoming excited and emotional. "Do you mean to say that you and your millionaire husband are planning to treat Mother like an investment on the stock exchange or a bet on the horses? You're betting her life against your money, hoping she'll die sooner rather than later. Ugh, you make me sick." "But Jan, listen, it isn't like that. Just think, Mother is 80. She's weak and losing her memory, but there's nothing seriously wrong with her. With luck, she could live till she's 100. Just think what that would mean. We could pay her more than £300,000. So we wouldn't exactly be making a fortune out of it. We just thought it would be a good solution to the situation. Nothing more than that. We certainly don't think of it as a gamble on Mother's life. I'm not that heartless, you know." "But you are. How can you be so calculating, so cold?" Jan said sharply. "We're talking about your Mother, not about a property investment. It's not about profit and loss. It's about a human being. I think you've lost all your human feelings. You're like a machine programmed to make money. Can't you see how disgusting it is? What's wrong with you? If you can afford to pay her £1,500 a month, then just pay it. Don't expect to make a profit out of it." "But Jan, we're just trying to be helpful. It's a very reasonable offer. Everyone does well out of it. It gets Cindy away from having to act as a nurse for her grandmother. It allows you to get on with your new job. It makes sure Mother is properly looked after. And Mother doesn't lose anything. She would go on living in her house till she dies. OK, we get the house at the end of it, but we will have paid for it. Kate, I was going to make you coffee, but I've changed my mind. I think you'd better go. I really think you'd better leave before I throw you out. You're disgusting, calculating, selfish. I don't know what else to say. Get out. And take your flowers and your chocolates and your other rubbish with you. Don't bother to contact us again. It's over. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a sister anymore. She took Kate to the front door, pushed her out, and threw the flowers and the rest of the presents out after her. Then she banged the door shut and burst into tears. Chapter 15. Italian Birthday Lunch. Back in Brighton, Cindy had found a cheerful-looking Italian restaurant for lunch. There were a few tables with big umbrellas outside on the pavement. She managed to push Sarah's wheelchair up to one of these tables. "Hello, signorina," said the young Italian waiter. He was very handsome, Cindy thought. "Buongiorno, signora," he said to Sarah. "You having a nice day?" Sarah didn't even look at him. She was staring across the road at the sea, but her eyes were empty. "Is it your mamma?" he asked Cindy. "Oh, no, she's my grandmother," said Cindy. "Ah, la nonna. Lovely hat, signora. I get you the menu." "Yes, please," said Cindy, "but I'm not sure what she'll eat. She's a bit difficult. But today is her birthday, so—" "It's her birthday? Oh, lovely. How old?" "She's 80 today." "Mamma mia, 80 anni. Wait, I go tell my papa. He'll come to see you." And he rushed inside and came back with a smiling, middle-aged man with a round belly covered by a large white apron. "Buongiorno, signore," he said, and bowed his head to Cindy and Sarah. He turned to Sarah. "Is your happy birthday? Happy birthday! I make you something special, okay? You leave it to me. Leave it to Paolo. First I bring you some water and some wine. We make the happy birthday brindisi, toast, okay?"
"Where's my tea? I want a cup of tea," demanded Sarah.
"It's all right. No problem. I make you a cup of tea." A few minutes later, the son, whose name was Giovanni, brought them some mineral water, a bottle of Chianti wine, and a cup of tea. He then produced a plate of antipasti, Parma ham, olives, cheese, sausage, and tomatoes.
"Here, Gran, try some of this ham," said Cindy.
"Is it cooked?" asked Sarah suspiciously.
"It's special, Gran, from Italy."
"I don't want any of that foreign stuff," said Sarah. "I want some fish and chips."
"Gran, this is an Italian restaurant. They make lovely food, and the owner is very nice. Come on, just try a little."
Cindy served herself with a large helping. She felt really hungry after their morning on the pier and began to eat.
"It's delicious," she said to Giovanni when he came back. "But my Gran is terribly difficult about her food."
"It's okay. You enjoy it, okay?" Just then, his father came back with 4 wine glasses and poured the wine. "Okay, everybody. What's your nonna's name?"
"Sarah."
"Lovely. Okay, Sarah. Let's drink to your happy birthday. Just a little drink, not much, okay?" He smiled sweetly at Sarah, who was delighted by all this special attention. She picked up her wine glass carefully, as if she was afraid to drop it. "Okay, everybody. Here's to lovely Signora Sarah for her 80th birthday. Salute! Cheers!" They all drank. Even Sarah sipped a little of the wine.
"This isn't bad,"
she said unexpectedly, and she emptied the whole glass in one go.
"Can I have some more?"
With her glass refilled, Sarah said loudly,
"I don't think I'll have my tea after all. You can take it away if you like. And, excuse me, but have you seen my mum and dad anywhere around? I heard they were coming today, but I haven't seen them so far."
Cindy made a sign to the men not to take any notice of this strange question.
"It's okay, Gran. I think they've gone somewhere else today. Let's have some food." "Excuse me, young man,"
said Sarah to Paolo, the owner.
"Can I have some fish and chips?"
"Oh, I'm sorry, Signora Sarah, but we don't do the fish and chips. It's not Italian, you know."
"But I want fish and chips," demanded Sarah.
Paolo and Giovanni had a whispered conversation in Italian. Then Paolo said, "Okay, it's your birthday. This time, I'm making you the fish and chips. Special one, okay? Italian style." Sarah didn't seem to have heard him. She was staring at the sea again, lost in a world of her own. They were at the restaurant for nearly 2 hours. Sarah got her fish and chips, Italian style. Cindy had some tasty ravioli and a delicious veal dish cooked with herbs called saltimbocca alla romana. They finished their lunch with a big chocolate cake. Paolo had written on it in cream, "Happy birthday, Sarah." When Cindy asked for the bill, Paolo refused to let them pay for the wine, fish and chips, or cake. "It's for happy birthday," he said with a big smile. All Cindy could do was to thank him. By the time they left, Sarah was looking tired but happy. This was hardly surprising, as she'd managed to drink 4 glasses of wine. Giovanni and Cindy had given each other their telephone numbers and agreed to meet again sometime. On their way back to the car, Sarah fell asleep in the wheelchair. It was difficult for Cindy to get her into the car. As they set off on the return journey to London, Sarah woke up again. She seemed upset about something.
"What's the matter, Gran?" asked Cindy. "Do you want me to stop?" "Where's my mum? Why didn't she come? Have they taken her away? You don't know anything about them. Did you see them? It's all plunky, boodle-doodle-doo. I can't answer all the plimsy-whimsy questions. Why do they keep asking me all those questions? I don't know the answers."
After a while, she stopped talking to herself and fell asleep again. Getting back to Lewisham took a long time. The roads were full of cars driving back into London after a day at the seaside. And the roads in South London were even worse, with traffic stopping and starting. It was 7 o'clock by the time Cindy parked the car outside Sarah's house. Jan came out to help Cindy get Sarah into the house. They took her upstairs straight away and put her to bed. "Have you had a good day, Mum?" asked Jan. Sarah seemed confused. Then her eyes brightened, and she said in her best voice, "I've had a lovely day." Then she began to sing again. "I do like to be beside the seaside." Her voice got fainter and fainter, till it stopped. Her eyes closed, and she fell asleep with a smile on her lips. Chapter 16. Time to Face Facts. When Kate arrived home from Jan's, Hugh was already back from his golf. There was dirt on his golf shoes, so perhaps he really had been playing golf this time. "Hello, darling," he said in a tired voice. Kate noticed that he had an empty whiskey glass on the small table next to him. He saw the direction of her look. "Do you think you could pour me another one?" he said. opening the business pages of the Sunday newspaper. "I think you can get it yourself if you really want to poison yourself to death," Kate said. "I've been driving and I'm tired. I need a shower. I'll tell you about what happened when I come down." All right, said Hugh, and got up slowly from his armchair as she went upstairs. When Kate came down again, Hugh was still reading his newspaper and sipping his whiskey. She wondered how many glasses he had had so far. "So, how was your dear older sister Jan today? I hope she was in a better mood than last time." "She looked okay, but she made me really angry. Mother wasn't there, and it was her 80th birthday. I'd bought her flowers and chocolates and everything. Can you believe it? Jan had let Cindy take her to Brighton, of all places. I was furious. I'd gone all that way to see her, and she wasn't there." "Really? I'm sure Jan only did that to upset you. But your mother's birthday wasn't your main reason for going, was it?" "So, what did she say about our offer for the house?" Hugh asked. "She said she couldn't believe what I was telling her. She said it was disgusting to gamble on how long Mother would live. She said we weren't human beings anymore, just machines for making money. She said a lot of things like that. Then she threw me out of the house. So the answer's no. And now I think about it, I'm not surprised. Jan's always been like that. Hot-tempered, emotional, never logical. She can never think straight." "Oh, well, we tried anyway," said Hugh, though there was disappointment in his voice. It seemed he had really been hoping that Jan would accept their offer. "Never mind. At least we don't have to do anything more now that she's refused our help. We don't need to worry about Jan and your mother now. It's a pity about the house, though. That was a really good opportunity." He picked up his newspaper again, but this time Kate knew the moment was right for them to talk. She couldn't delay it any longer. There had been too many suspicious things going on. It was time to clear the air once and for all. "Listen, Hugh," she said in a tight, nervous voice. She really wasn't sure how to start this conversation. "I think it's really time for us to have a proper talk." "What do you mean? Talk about what?" he said, opening the newspaper. "For God's sake, will you put down your newspaper and listen to me for a change? I'm trying to talk to you." Hugh put down his newspaper and took a sip of whiskey. "OK, darling, go ahead," he said in a cheerful voice, though his face didn't look cheerful at all. "And can you stop drinking just for 5 minutes? This isn't a joke. I'm serious. We have to talk." "Fine, but what about exactly?" asked Hugh, looking bored. "About us. I want to talk about us. About our marriage, Hugh." "What do you mean? What's wrong with our marriage?" asked Hugh innocently. Kate thought to herself how men always tried to avoid unpleasant things, but she went on. "What's right with it? That's what you need to ask. We hardly ever see each other these days. You're always going off here or there. Half the time I don't even know where you are. And when we are in the house together, you have your nose stuck in the newspaper or in a glass of whiskey. It's months since we really shared a meal together or talked about anything important." "Oh, come on, darling, it's not as bad as that." "Oh, yes, it is. In fact, it's worse. We never make love anymore. It's over a year now. You're always too tired. But I wonder if that's the real reason anyway." "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that you have someone else." "Oh, come on. How can you think such a thing? When do I have time for that sort of thing? You know I'm working flat out on my investment fund." "Hugh, please don't take me for a fool. I've known you for over 25 years now, and I can read you like a book. First of all, what about all those times you told me you were playing golf? I don't know where you were, but you certainly weren't at the golf club. And what about the nights that you didn't come home? And what about all those missed calls from Melper on your mobile phone? I wonder what dear Melper needed to talk to you about so urgently." Hugh's mouth fell open. He hadn't been expecting this. "So," said Kate in an ice-cold voice, "what's going on? I want to know. How serious is it? Do you love her?" Hugh looked down and didn't answer. His face had gone bright red. "Come on! I want to know. Is it Melpa? Do you love her?" Instead of answering, Hugh took a large drink of his whiskey and began walking nervously up and down. "Look, Kate," he said at last, "I don't know how to begin. It started a few months ago. I ran into Melpa in London one day, and we went for lunch, and somehow one thing led to another till neither of us could do anything about it. It's so easy to start these things, but once you're past a certain point, it's impossible to stop. Yes, I do love her. I'm sorry, Kate. God knows what we're all going to do. You know perfectly well what will happen if her husband finds out. He'll do his best to ruin me." "Right, Hugh. Thanks for being honest with me. At last. If that's how things are, I want you to sleep in Jeremy's room tonight. The bed is already made up. I don't want to see you in the morning, and I suggest you move into the flat in London until we've sorted out the divorce." "Divorce?" said Hugh. "Who said anything about a divorce?" "I did," said Kate in her cold, unfeeling voice, "and I meant it. Surely you don't think I'm going to just sit there like an idiot while you do whatever you want to. Oh, no. This marriage is over. It can't go on. Then you'll be free to marry your Greek beauty, if she still wants you by then. Good night." Chapter 17. There is a time. Next morning, when Cindy took Sarah her tea, she didn't answer her when she said cheerfully, "Good morning, Gran. It's another lovely day." She pulled the curtains back and let in the bright May sunshine. "Come on, Gran. Don't let your tea get cold," she said as she went back downstairs to prepare Sarah's breakfast. Half an hour later, she came back carrying the tray. She noticed that Sarah hadn't touched her tea. "Come on, Gran. You've let your tea get cold. Let me get you a fresh cup," she said. But when she looked down at Sarah, she realized that her grandmother would never drink a cup of tea again. She had stopped breathing. Sarah was dead. There was a smile on her lips, and she looked peaceful, as if she had died in a sleep full of pleasant dreams. Cindy sat down on the bed, her head in her hands, crying helplessly. She realized just how much she'd grown to love this crazy but lovely old lady. All their times together came back to her. The funny words Sarah had made up, her changes of mood, her forgetfulness, her old songs, and above all, the birthday trip to Brighton. Cindy dried her eyes with a handkerchief and sat up. She knew she had to do something quickly. The first thing was to tell her mother. She called Jan's office number. "Mum, I'm sorry, but I have some bad news for you. Gran died in her sleep last night. I thought she was asleep when I took her tea, but when I came back with her breakfast, I saw..." Cindy's voice broke as she started to cry again. "Oh, Mum, why did she have to die like this? We didn't even have the chance to say goodbye to her properly." There was a pause before Jan spoke. "It's a shock for us both, I know," said Jan. "But just think, maybe this was the best way for her to die. She had a lovely day out on her birthday, thanks to you, and it seems she died in her sleep, without fear and without pain. Thank goodness for that. But oh my God." Cindy heard her mother suddenly break down in tears. She soon recovered. "Listen, Cindy, call the doctor immediately, then just wait for me. I'll tell my boss, Dave, what has happened, and I'll be back with you in about an hour. Don't try to do anything else till I get there, right?" "OK, Mum. I think I need a strong cup of coffee to keep me going. I'll wait for you." Cindy was a bit surprised to see her mother arrive outside the house in a car. "Dave was so sweet," said Jan as she came in. "He gave me a lift home. He was very understanding." "That was really good of him," said Cindy. "What shall we do first?" "I want to go up and sit with Mother for a few minutes before we do anything. Please wait down here. I just want to be alone with her." "OK, Mum. I'll make you a cup of nice strong coffee while I'm waiting." When Jan came down again, she looked pale and upset, but she smiled bravely. "Oh, she looks so peaceful," she said. "It's almost as if she's just sleeping. I half expected her to sit up and ask one of her crazy questions. But I'm glad she went like that, without suffering." "Yes, I'm glad too in a way, but I wish I could have told her how much I loved her before she died." "It's OK, Cindy. I'm sure she knew that. You had some wonderful times together, and she went out on a high. I'm sure she knew. Right, now, where's that coffee? We need to make a list of all the things to do." They sat together at the kitchen table with their coffee and a notepad and started the long list of people to contact. Death is simple for the person who dies. Once it's over, they have nothing left to do. But for their family and loved ones, there are hundreds of things to be done. The doctor has to come to write out the death certificate. The undertaker has to come to make the arrangements for the funeral. And of course, all the family members and friends have to be told. Then there has to be a small party after the funeral. The solicitor has to be called to arrange for the reading of the will. And later, someone would have to deal with whatever Sarah had left. The house, her belongings, the money in the bank, and so on. The list seemed to be endless, yet these things had to be done. It seems unfortunate and unfair that just when people should be left to grieve over the death of someone close to them, they have to get involved in all these practical things instead. As soon as they'd completed the list, Jan started to make the phone calls. It was early evening before she had finished. The funeral was arranged for the following Friday. She had just put the phone down after the last call when it rang. She answered it. "Hello, Jan here. Who's speaking, please?" "Hello. Can I please speak to Cindy?" The voice sounded foreign. "Just a minute, I'll call her. Who shall I say it is?" "It's Giovanni from Brighton." Jan called Cindy, who took the phone into the lounge and spoke for a long time. When she came back, she was crying again. "Oh, Mum, sometimes people are so kind. That was Giovanni from the Italian restaurant where I took Gran for her birthday. I told you about him and his dad. He called to ask me out next week, but as soon as I told him about Gran, he got very emotional. He says he'll tell his father. He wants to know if they can come to the funeral too. He says they liked Sarah so much, even though they only met her once. He says his father will call us again later." "That's really sweet of them," said Jan. "I can't see why they shouldn't come. There won't be that many people. Most of Sarah's friends are dead too, and the family isn't very big either. Oh my God, family! I forgot to call Kate." "Do you think she might be interested?" said Cindy with a bitter smile. "I must tell her, of course I must. I know she's been really awful about Mother, but she is her daughter. She has to be told. I'll keep it short, though." She picked up the phone again and dialed Kate's number. Hello, Kate, it's me, Jan. I'm calling you to let you know that Mother died in her sleep last night. The funeral will be next Friday. We'll be sending out cards tomorrow as soon as I can get some made. I hope you can all come. Do you think Hugh and Caroline and Jeremy will be able to make it? Anyway, I'll send cards to you all. I have to run now. There's lots to do, as you can imagine. Oh my God. That's a shock. I don't know what to say. No need to say anything to me. You know what I think of you. That hasn't changed. Just let me know who's coming, that's all. And don't bother to send flowers. Send some money to the Alzheimer's charity instead. I hope Jeremy will be able to come. Caroline's in Brussels. I don't know if she can get away. And Hugh will definitely not be coming. We're living separately now. You might as well know that. I see. Serves you both right, I expect. OK, then, that's it. Good night. And Jan put down the phone. Later that evening, after the doctor had been and signed the death certificate, death from natural causes, and the undertaker had been in to take the body away and lay it out in his memorial chapel, Jan and Cindy sat together and shared a bottle of good wine and some cheese. They were both exhausted, too tired to prepare a proper supper. They agreed that Cindy should go back to their house and Jan would sleep there at her mother's. So the long day ended at last. The funeral took place the following Friday as arranged. It was a rainy afternoon, and there were only a few people there. Jan and Cindy, of course, Jan's boss Dave. He really did seem to like Jan. A couple of Cindy's friends, Kate and her son Jeremy. Corrie, she had insisted on coming when Kate told her the news. A few neighbours, and Giovanni and Paolo from Brighton. Jan and Kate didn't speak to each other. Sarah had always said she didn't want to be buried in the earth. She wanted to be cremated. And she had told Jan that she wanted her ashes to be scattered in the garden of her house, where she had spent so many happy years before her husband died. The crematorium felt a bit like a church, but there was no religious ceremony. Sarah hadn't been a believer in any religion. Jan and Cindy read some short poems, and Jan said a few words about her mother. Then, as the recorded music played, Vaughan Williams, The Lark Ascending, the coffin rolled smoothly towards the entrance of the oven, disappeared inside, and was swallowed by flames. Outside, Jan and Cindy and Kate stood and shook hands with the people who had come. Behind them, smoke rose from a tall chimney. "Please come back to our house for some refreshments," said Jan. Most people started to leave the crematorium, but Kate and Jeremy waited for a moment. "I think we'd better go," said Kate. "Jeremy has to get back to Cambridge, and I should be getting home too." "OK then," said Jan. "I wasn't really expecting you to stay anyway. I'll let you know when the solicitor calls us for the reading of the will." And she turned and walked away, leaving them standing in the rain. Back at the house, the guests were soon in conversation. Most of it was about Sarah and how everyone had liked her, even if she had become so strange in her old age. They didn't stay too long, and soon Jan and Cindy were left to clear up the plates and glasses. "Giovanni seems like a nice young man," said Jan. "Yes, I like him a lot," said Cindy. "He's asked me out when all this is over." "What did you say?" said Jan. "Why, yes, of course. I'm not that stupid, Mum." "Of course you're not." His dad was very lively too. A very warm personality, such a cheerful man. "And what about Dave? He seemed very worried about you. Is anything going on between you two?" "Come on, Cindy. I'm 54 years old and well past my best. Why should he be interested in me?" "Let's see about that," said Cindy with a smile. The following week, Jan and Kate met in the solicitor's office. The solicitor, who had looked after the family's legal affairs for many years, knew them both, of course. The will was in one of those long legal envelopes, which he opened with a special silver paper knife. The will wasn't a long document. It must have been arranged by their father before he died. Sarah wouldn't have been able to do it herself, although she had signed it. The solicitor read it out aloud. Kate got the house in Lewisham with all its contents. Jan got what was left of Sarah's savings, about £50,000. As usual, Kate was the favourite daughter, and Jan got the leftovers. Jan and Kate signed the documents and left without speaking to each other. Chapter 18. Things fall apart, things come together. Only a few weeks after Kate and Hugh separated, things started to go badly wrong for Hugh. He had moved into their small flat in London, and Kate hadn't spoken to him since their final argument. And, to make it worse, Jeremy and Caroline had turned their backs on him too. Kate simply tried to get on with her life while the divorce was going through. Then, one evening, Hugh called her. His voice sounded strange, as if he'd been drinking, and Kate wondered how much he'd had this time.
"Listen, Kate," he said. "I'm in deep trouble. Everything has fallen apart. Clarides found out about Melper and me and took all his money out of the fund. Then he persuaded Mazumdar to do the same. When Manningham found out, he took his money out too. The whole fund has collapsed, and now the others are coming after me for the money they lent me. I have nothing left, even the house. I had to offer it as security, and now they'll take it away from us."
"You what?" shouted Kate. "You gambled with our house without telling me, and now you've lost it? What am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to live?"
"It's all my fault, I know," said Hugh. "I was a fool to borrow so much. I thought it was safe, but now—"
"Now you're in a hole," said Kate in a hard voice, "and you don't know how to climb out of it. So why come to me? What do you expect me to do? You've ruined my life too, especially if they take the house. My God, I wish I'd never met you."
"I can't think straight," said Hugh in his thick, drunken voice. "And they may call in the police too. There were some things I did."
"Look, Hugh, I have enough to do to save what I can of my own stuff. I can't get involved with yours too. You made your choice. Now you can live with it. Don't bother me again. Understand?" And she put down the phone. Kate was a quick-thinking, realistic woman. She realised that there was no hope of saving the house, so she had all the contents packed and put into store. Then she and Corrie moved into her mother's old house in Lewisham. Jan only found out about this when they met in the local supermarket by chance one Friday evening.
"What are you doing here?" Jan asked, completely surprised by this unexpected meeting.
"Something happened. I needed to move out of the house in Marlow, so I've moved into Mother's place. Strange, isn't it? I never expected to find myself living here again. But..." For once, Jan couldn't find any words. She wanted to complain that Kate couldn't just move in like that. But of course she could. The house was hers. It wasn't Jan's business anymore. "Well, I wouldn't have chosen to move back here, But I had no choice. Hugh's investment fund has collapsed, and he's being chased by everyone who lent him money. At least I have somewhere to live. And actually, the old house is really quite comfortable, and there's plenty of space. It needs to be repainted and modernised, but it's got lots of possibilities, and the garden is still lovely.
Yes, the garden, said Jan. I was going to contact you about that. I've still got Mother's ashes at home. We need to arrange to scatter them in the garden. That's what she wanted.
So, when do you want to do that?
Well, I suppose now that you're there, it will have to be at a time that suits you, said Jan.
Well, how about next weekend, Sunday afternoon? Is that okay?
I'll need to invite a few people too. Cindy and Giovanni, her new boyfriend. My boss, Dave. Corrie, if she's with you. What about your kids?
I don't think so, Jan, but I'll be there, of course. Do you want Corrie to prepare something to eat or anything?
That would be nice. Just some snacks and drinks will be enough. Don't go to too much trouble.
OK, let's say 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, then.
Right. I'll tell the others. And I'll bring Mother's ashes with me. It was a perfect June day when they all gathered in the garden of Sarah's house. There was a light breeze. Jan took the heavy pot containing Sarah's ashes and threw a handful in the air. The breeze caught them and blew the white cloud across the grass and the flowers. She handed the pot to Kate, who did the same. Then it was Cindy's turn. They took turns until the pot was empty. Sarah had gone back to her garden, just as she had wanted. No one spoke for a while. Everyone was remembering Sarah in their thoughts. Chapter 19. Forgive and Forget. 6 months after Sarah's death, things were finally settling down for Cindy and for Jan. Jan gave Cindy some of the money from her mother's will. Cindy decided to use it to help pay for her training as a chiropodist. So far, she was doing well in her course and was expecting to qualify in about 2 years' time. After that, she was hoping to open her own business. She had got rid of her green hair and removed most, but not quite all, of the rings in various parts of her body. After all the wasted years, her life had suddenly improved. She'd found something she really liked doing. She'd also found someone to spend her free time with. After the funeral, she'd started seeing a lot of Giovanni. They were planning to go on holiday to Italy together later in the year. After years of dull living with no hope of anything better, Jan had started living life fully again. Things were going well at work. She was promoted and got a pay rise. The money she got from Sarah's will wasn't that much after she'd given some to Cindy, but it was enough to give her some security at last. She could afford to go out to eat in her favourite Thai restaurants again, and she could go to the cinema whenever she wanted. She redecorated her house too, and bought herself a small second-hand car. Best of all, she could make new friends again, and she began to see Dave regularly. As time passed, Jan began to feel that she could forgive what Kate had done, though she would never forget it, she thought. Life was too short to go on hating someone forever, and now that Kate herself had suffered so much from her breakup with Hugh and losing her home, Jan felt it was time to heal the wounds between them. After the Sunday when they scattered Sarah's ashes, they saw each other occasionally for coffee or lunch. Kate had changed a lot too. She was more relaxed and less selfish. So, one Sunday lunchtime, they found themselves sitting again in Jan's small kitchen,
eating a roast chicken and drinking red wine. A better bottle than the last time. Soon it would be Christmas again, and Cindy had gone off to Italy with Giovanni. They would be back for New Year. One evening, Cindy called Jan from Italy. Her voice sounded very excited. "Mum, can you guess? Giovanni's asked me to marry him."
"Oh, I can't say I'm surprised," Jan said, laughing. "And what did you say?"
"I said yes, of course. He's lovely, and I feel it's the real thing this time."
"Well, I hope you'll be very happy together. Have you fixed a date yet?"
"No, not yet. He needs to talk to his dad first."
"Maybe the spring would be a good time. Or do you want to wait till after you finish your training?"
"I don't know. There's so much to think about. What about your love life, Mum? Has Dave asked you yet?"
"Well, he took me out to dinner the other evening, and yes, he did ask me to marry him."
"And what did you say, Mum?"
"I said I needed time to think about it."
"You said what? Why do you need time to think about it? What's stopping you from marrying him? He's a great guy. He loves you. You love him too, I think."
"Well, I just thought I shouldn't rush into it, that's all. I mean, it didn't work out very well with your father, did it?"
"Oh, come on, Mum. There's no comparison. Just think how lovely it would be to have someone around who really cares about you, especially now that I'll be off your hands soon."
"I just want to do the right thing, that's all. I'm too old to make another mistake."
"Mum, try not to be silly. This is the best thing that's happened to you in years. Promise me you'll call him up as soon as I put the phone down. Go on, promise."
There was a short pause, then Jan said, with laughter in her voice, "OK, Cindy, you win. I promise."
"Good. That's that settled then. Hey, I've just thought of something. Why don't we have a double wedding? You and Dave and me and Giovanni. Think about it. It's a great idea. Anyway, Mum, I mustn't go on any more. You have a phone call to make. Don't forget, you promised. Good night, Mum. Speak to you soon. Love you."
"Bye, Cindy. Love you too."
Jan sat for a while, lost in thought. Then she picked up the telephone again and dialed a number. "Hello, Dave? It's me, Jan. I've been thinking, and